Hello zusammen, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are all having an awesome day so far. So for today, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you can expect as an expat moving to a new country, more specifically to Germany, where I am currently living. So before we get started with that, I did want to make a distinction between what an expat is and what an immigrant is. I hear a lot of people confusing these two words or using them interchangeably. So I did want to just create that distinction right off the bat before we get started. So I often refer to myself as an expat. I've always considered myself to be an expat, and I wanted to explain a bit more what that actually means for maybe some of you that don't know. So an expat is somebody who moves away from their native country to live in a foreign country, not necessarily with the intention of staying in that foreign country for a long period of time, so forever. Usually an expat will move abroad for a year, 2 years, a couple of years, but the intent is never really to stay there forever. Whereas an immigrant is someone who leaves their native country to move to a new country with the intent of staying there permanently. So to completely start a new life there and, immerse themselves in that culture completely and stay there forever. Because I know a lot of you are planning to move to Germany, I wanted to share some of the things that you may experience when you move here, some of the things that is not widely talked about. I see in a lot of videos people talking about how amazing it is to live in a foreign country, how fun it is, all the awesome experiences, but there are definitely struggles that you may have to deal with day to day because you are immersing yourself in a new culture and a new environment. All right, so one of the first things I want to point out is that you have to be extremely patient. Not only patient with yourself, but patient with the people around you and your new surroundings. When you move to a new country, there's so many hurdles that you have to jump through. Maybe, when you first get here, things are very exciting, everything's shiny and brand new, and you can't wait to get out there and explore and, meet new people, and everything is very, very exciting. But as the weeks goes on and the months go on, that excitement kind of dwindles down. Things are not as shiny as they once seemed, and so you're gonna have to eventually deal with, the hard things that come with living in a new country. One thing that comes to mind for me right now, because it's something I'm struggling with, is setting up our internet for our new place. This has been really, really difficult, guys, because, for instance, if you are calling customer service, you have to be super patient and you have to obviously speak in German. Sometimes the customer support team, they will speak in English, but most of the time, of course, they want to speak German. So you have to be super patient when you're translating things, especially if your German is not super fluent. And you can expect to have to call multiple times to set up an appointment for things to get done. And things are just gonna take a lot more effort. For instance, a phone call back home that would have taken maybe 10 minutes to sort everything out can take 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe multiple calls. So you have to be very, very patient. Also, I've had to deal with, for instance, booking doctor's appointments and maybe people not understanding me right away and hanging up and having to call back. So everything is gonna be very, very time consuming, and you're gonna realize that after a 1 hour call, you are extremely exhausted and you're not gonna wanna deal with anything else. If you are considering to move to Germany and your first language is English, then consider yourself very lucky, because the majority of the people here speak English and they usually have no problem with speaking English. But you also have to be patient with them as well, because even though I would say 90% of the people I encounter on the daily speak perfect English, you have to think that they are translating from German to English. So, it will take them some time to actually communicate exactly what they want to say. So something for you as an expat that I would highly recommend is slowing down your speech a bit. I tend to speak super, super fast, just like I would back home, but I have to stop myself sometimes and realize that I probably shouldn't speak so fast, probably shouldn't speak in so much slang, because they may not necessarily understand me very well at the very beginning, and it may take me a couple of tries to convey what I am trying to say. So be patient with people here, especially if they ask you to repeat yourself. Don't get frustrated. People here are super welcoming and they want to help you out. So just be patient with everything. Another thing that you can expect to experience is that you're gonna get the feeling that you don't really belong. You don't really belong in the current place that you're living in, and also when you go back home. I've experienced this multiple times because I've gone back home several times and I'm sort of in this limbo stage. And I know that this is very common for expats because I speak to a lot of expats that go through this, and we are all sort of in limbo where we go back home and we don't really feel like we belong there, because by living in a new country, we've gained a new perspective. Our mannerisms have even changed, our way of thinking has changed, and back home just doesn't seem as familiar. Whereas when you're living in the current country, it also feels like it's not familiar, because usually you don't know all of the customs, you're still getting to know your surroundings, so everything is very, very strange. But what I can say is the good thing is that as you live in a country for a longer period of time, it obviously becomes more familiar and you start to enjoy the little things. And I would say try to immerse yourself as much as possible in that new country, whether it be learning about the customs, the culture, how people do things, learn about the history in the country that you're in, and that's really going to help you integrate a lot more. Doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to live there forever, but it will make your day-to-day life easier and just your experience more enjoyable if you do make that effort to integrate, so you don't feel like you're in this limbo period of floating around between two countries and you don't really know where you belong. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is dealing with friends and your social life, not only in the new country that you're in my case Germany, but also dealing with your friends back home and ensuring that you are staying connected to them. For your friends back home, nothing has really changed except the fact that you've moved away. But for you as a person who's moved away, you have to juggle so many things. Not only are you adapting to a new environment, perhaps a new work environment, all of that, but you also have to deal with establishing some sort of a social life here. So putting yourself out there, making friends, building a new group of friends, which in itself is quite time consuming and can be a bit stressful because it takes time to build meaningful friendships. But then you sort of start to get these feelings of guilt as well, because you feel like you've just abandoned everybody at home and you feel like you don't make enough of an effort to keep up with them. I'm not only speaking from my own experience, but also from other people that I've spoken to, other expats, and this is very, very common as well. So I would say in order to avoid this is, first of all, don't feel guilty, because everyone has their own lives, and as we grow up, as we go through different stages, people will start to build their own little families and their own little group of friends, and you can't always expect to be involved in everybody's life all the time. So although you can feel guilty for this, you have to make an effort where you can. So, make a point to have phone calls with your friends regularly, maybe set up specific times when you want to chat. Make sure to message them. Thank God for WhatsApp, because that has been a lifesaver. I don't know how people did this back in the day where they had to write letters or they didn't have internet. It can even be something as simple as replying to their picture on Instagram, asking how their day is. Something very, very simple. It doesn't have to be super crazy, but just so that they know that you're in touch and that you still care while you are making that effort to build a new group of friends and get to know new people in your new country, because that is extremely important as well in order to feel like you have more stability in your life and you're not necessarily in this limbo stage. So let me know if any of you guys who have moved abroad have experienced this. If you have any other tips, please leave them down below. I know a lot of people are planning to make a move to Germany very soon, and I think they'll find this information quite helpful. Hopefully you are finding it helpful. Let me know in the comments. And if you guys haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe. I do post new videos every single week. And if you are making a move to Germany, make sure to join our Facebook community. It's called This German Life. I will leave a link down below, and we have a lot of great chats there. We share a lot of advice, a lot of resources to help you with your move and to help you feel part of the German expat community. So again, I will leave the link down below, but I hope that you guys are all having a good day. Thank you for bearing with me as my room is still very echoey, I know, but I appreciate all of you, and I hope that you all have a great day. Talk to you soon. Cheers!